Good morning, student. Today we are going to continue with part 2 of impaction, that is surgical technique for removal of impacted tooth. It's a clinical part and it's very important for the BDS student. So first we have already decided the anatomy, theories and all related topic. Now it's a clinical part, so we will start with the patient position. So patient should be seated comfortably on a dental chair, and the chair and occlusal plane of the teeth will be 45 degree. The instrument should be arranged in a rational manner, like probe and all. In first we have to place mirror, probe and like this, not the, and all instruments should be sterilized. Operator should be having a particular sterilization and all, gown wearing, head cap, mask and all, scrubbing of hand, and all the sterilization protocol should be maintained because it's a minor surgical procedure. Okay, an assistant is also required, and assistant should also be wearing a sterile gown. Preparation of a surgical, before preparing the intraoral surgical site, we should rinse a patient with a betadine or some antiseptic. Then thermolar area has to be swabbed with 0.5% of chlorhexidine or betadine. Alternative, the patient can be given mouthwash for antiseptic, and local anesthesia should be administered. Then draping of patient is very important for post-op infection and all. So we have to, ideally the patient and the front part of a body should be draped, and only the face has to be exposed, and patient head is covered with sterile towel, edge of which brought under a chin and fixed with a towel clip. This ensures that the head and neck and shoulder should be covered and only face is exposed. Palpation of anatomical landmark for LA given, for LA administration. The pterygomandibular fold covering the pterygomandibular raphe is usually very prominent when the mouth is open wide. External oblique ridge is then located. Next, the anterior part of ramus with coronary notch, and medially the retromolar fossa should be identified, and lingual shelf is palpated. Okay. And these anatomical landmark has to be identified for the incision also. And what are the all steps we have to cover? Incision to gain the assess the area, removal of adequate bone from the tooth and surrounding, sectioning and delivering of the tooth from the socket, debridement and closure of the incision. Incision, there are vast number of incision is there, but mostly it's a three-part: anterior, posterior and immediate limb, not extending to distally, because blood vessels are there, buccal vessel and other artery. Post-operative trismus, pterygomuscle damage, herniation of buccal fat pad if we go beyond the limit, and damage to the lingual. So we have to protect this while giving the incision. And these are the incisions which we can: grooves, moray incision, arcus approach, envelope flap, L-shape incision, triangular shape incision, lingual base triangular incision, wards incision, modified ward incision, Nageshwar comma incision, and buccal extension flap. Standard is a ward, it's given in 1968. So you can see it's anterior, posterior and immediate limb of incision. So we have to give incision like this and protect the all important structure, and then we have to reflect this flap and do the guttering part and other part to expose the tooth. So this we have already I have explained. And incision should be given 6.5 mm buccal sulcus. Then modified ward have a some, that anterior incision is commanded at a disto-buccal corner of the crown of mandibular first molar instead of the second molar. So this is a difference between a ward incision and the modified ward incision. Then I have already told flap elevation, distolingual splue, then bone removal. Then we can give bone removal done by two things. One is chisel mallet or one is burr. Chisel mallet is now outdated technique, so we usually use burr, and nowadays to save the important vital structures we can use piezoelectric also. So these are the advantage and difference between that technique. Chisel is difficult, burr is easy. Controlled bleeding and uncontrolled bleeding, and bone cutting is also controlled and uncontrolled. Patient acceptance not tolerated under LA in chisel, but burr well tolerated in LA. Bone healing good in chisel, and in burr it delay because dehiscence. Post-operative edema is less in chisel, more in burr. Dry socket less in chisel, more in burr. And post-operative infection less in chisel, more in burr. Then we use a technique which called Moore and Gleiber collar technique for bone removal. That is in in daily language we give guttering of the bone. Number 7 or number 8 round burr can be used at 5,000 to 10,000 RPM. Use of burr should always be done with saline to prevent thermal injury. Bone should be removed from the occlusal surface of the tooth. A channel is formed in a bone lateral and posterior to the impacted third molar to the cervical level of crown contouring. Adequate amount of tuft should be created to remove any bone obstruction to expose and delivery of the tooth. Careful bone removal should be done around the distal and lingual aspect of the tooth with damaging the lingual which lie in the vicinity of lingual plate adjacent to the. We have to be careful while removing the tooth that lingual nerve should be intact. These are the diagram. Here we can see in A diagram that exposure is done, B guttering has been done. Then in C diagram you can see that elevator is put, then guttering, then closure. Then lateral definition technique is there. Bodler has given this technique in 1968, indication for removal of unerupted third molar, and S-shaped incision is given. Okay, then attached mucosa and distal buccal lesion of second molar has to be removed. Then split bone or lingual split technique, Sir William Castley Fry has given this in 1933. These are the different techniques. Then this split bone or lingual split technique, incision is given, vertical stop cut is given, horizontal cut is made, split of distal lingual bone, removal of peninsulated between buccal and distal lingual bone, elevation is done, removal of distal lingual bone, and closure has to be done. Advantage: fast tooth removal, less risk of inferior alveolar nerve damage, reduce the size of residual bone clot by means of saucerization of dry socket, decrease risk of damage of periodontium of second molar, otherwise sensitivity has happened, decrease risk of socket healing. And what are the drawbacks? That percentage of lingual nerve damage is increased in this, and it's reported to 6%. Increased risk of post-operative infection, patient discomfort due to use of chisel and mandel for lingual bone removal and fracturing, only suitable for young patient with elastic. Then tooth sectioning is also important for outcome, and it's a path of exit of the tooth while we removing. Multivariate tooth section is indicated. The multi-rooted tooth with different lines of withdrawal. Tooth division may be done using a burr or osteotome or tooth splitting forceps. Mesioangular mandibular impaction removal, where the roots are not fused, divergent, or then we have to go for a tooth sectioning. Horizontal, because no space is there, it's embedded in a bone. Then first we have to cut the crown, then we have to remove the root in pieces, 1 or 2. Then vertical, sometime if the distal part is embedded in ramus and there is less space between a ramus to second molar, then we have to cut the distal crown portion as mentioned, then we have to remove that. Then second part, there are two types, horizontal sectioning and vertical sectioning is there. Distangular impaction, because no space, then we have to do the impaction like sectioning like this. Sometimes the crier is used for removal of the bone. Then mesoangular impaction is done as shown in clinical, removal of the flap, elevation of the flap, guttering and tooth sectioning and removal of the tooth using a elevator. Then mesoangular impaction is done in section because less space. As you can see, the closure, debridement and closure has to be done, and then the closure. And this is now we focus on the debridement, that all the pathology has to be removed and closure has to be done. Wound closure like this with suture, and if bleeding occurs, then we use bone wax, Surgicel or gel form, and then initial position of the flaps should be maintained and resutured, and the suturing of mesial of impacted tooth or distal off is important to reduce the chances of the this pocket formation. Then post-operative care, we have to put gauze piece for 45 minutes, applying cold pack to reduce swelling, taking antibiotics and medications, no smoking, no alcohol intake should be there, rest should be taken, all cold food should be taken with cold food should be taken without the straw. And sometime the bleeding occurs more, then we can use tannic acid, which is help in the contracture of the blood vessel, which is given by a tea bag, and avoid minimum. And then after 24 hours we should advise a patient to have a lukewarm saline gargle for healing of the wound. Then pain, then we have to give post-operative 4 to 5 NSAIDs and mild painkiller like aspirin, paracetamol, or some diclofenac patch, ibuprofen, and combination of different tablets. And sometimes antibiotic is given after a general procedure to reduce the existing infection. Then diet should be drink plenty of fluid, to drink 5 to 6 glasses of first day, drink glass, don't use a straw, and avoid hot food for the first day, and then you can use adequate liquid should be, and normal diet should be taken. Then oral hygiene has to be maintained with gargles, mouthwash, betadine and all, and clot has to be formed, not to be removed. Stiffness, trismus sometimes happen, then we have to do the exercises. Okay, then activity and suture removal after 7 to 15 days. And complications some are complications which are intraoperative and post-operative. Intraoperative, during the incision, bleeding from the retromolar vessel, bleeding from facial vessel, or damage to the lingual nerve. During bone removal, use of burr or use of chisel, there are two different: injury to IAC, fracture of mandible in chisel, splinting of bone in chisel, and displacement of tooth in lingual pouch. It happens but less. Injury to the lingual nerve, injury to the adjacent tooth and soft tissue, and by burr, accidental burr injury, lingual nerve, laceration, necrosis of bone, emphysema. And sectioning fracture is very common, breakage of the burr while using burr, or injury to mandibular canal, incorrect sectioning. These are very important complications during intraoperatively by burr. Post-operative, sometimes it's happen, but if our intraoperative is perfect, then post-operative complications can be minimized immediately. Hemorrhage, bleeding, pain, edema and trismus, delayed alveolitis, infection and trismus may happen in nerve injury, lingual nerve injury, inferior alveolar nerve injury. Then for hemostasis, we can use mechanical, chemical and biological agent like bone wax, vasoconstrictor, ferric sulfate, thrombin. Absorbable mechanical hemostasis are gelatin gel form, absorbable collagen, collatab, acetoform, microcollagen hemostasis. Swelling sometimes happen, but if we care a wound, then it can. Trismus, acute and chronic phase, immobilization, dry socket can be formed, And dry socket can also be called alveolar osteitis, alveolitis, localized osteitis, dry socket, necrotic socket, septic socket, fibrolactic alveolitis, like this. Then what is the treatment of dry socket? We will use a eugenol, balsam of Peru, carbabutamol, and we mix it and put in the dry socket. Nerve injury, these are the percentage of nerve injury: inferior alveolar, immediate 4 to 5%, permanent less than 1%, lingual 0.2 to 22%, permanent 0 to 2. 96 comes after sometime it comes after 9 to 96%, it revert back, sometime it don't revert. And thank you, we completed the impaction.